So welcome everybody to our webinar, Visual Thinking Strategies in Art and Language Education. This is VTS MAU, or Visual Thinking Strategies Research Group in Malmö University's first webinar. You're also welcome. My name is Sean Nolan, and my two colleagues, Chris Alganis, Selam Malilang, and Chris, and Sirke Vako are also part of this VTS MAU research group. I just want to very quickly say thanks to Anna Zieler, the head of research and culture, the head of research in cultural languages and media, COSM, who has been very supportive and helpful to us in setting up our research group, and without whom this webinar would not be able to take place. So I would like to introduce our speakers today. We're very, very fortunate to have some leading experts in VTS from Ireland and from Denmark with us today. And from Ireland, we have Liz Coman from Dublin City Council Art Office, who will be a little bit later on doing a VTS session with us. And will also be presenting to us in the second part of this webinar her experiences with regard to the rollout of VTS in Ireland. And we are also very fortunate to have very special guests that Liz was able to arrange for us, Fred Boss from the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment in Ireland, who will be also adding his experiences with regard to the rollout of VTS in the Irish education system. VTS Denmark are also present, and the leading experts in Denmark on VTS, Marie Hesse and Anna Zieler, will be presenting, actually starting our proceedings today by presenting VTS and the background of VTS to us, and that will be followed by Liz's session, VTS session with us. I'm just going to hand over to Marie Hesse and Anna Zieler. So it's over to you, Marie, Anna.
Hello, I'm Anna Zieler from VTS Denmark.
Yeah, I'm Marie. Hi.
And I'll just start sharing my screen. We've prepared a small PowerPoint presentation for you here. So let's see. I hope everyone can see it. Please give me a thumbs up if it looks okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, as Sean was saying before, and thank you, Sean, we've been asked to do a brief presentation of VTS. And Visual Thinking Strategies, or VTS, originates from the United States, where it was developed by cognitive psychologist Abigail Hausen, together with the then head of the teaching department at the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, in New York, Philip Yenawine, both to make people more curious about art, but also to strengthen both children and adults' self-confidence and enjoyment of art experiences. And the method is now used both in daycare institutions, at schools, at higher education institutions, and also at cultural institutions such as museums and libraries. And the method is used both for appreciating art, but also for integration projects, to enhance the joy of reading, and to create cultural activities for the elderly, for example, people with dementia and their relatives. And as you can hear, the method is also used with amongst lots of professions, both school teachers and early year educators, museum educators, but also doctors, researchers, and even police officers. So it's very widely spread, the use of VTS. So we've also included a little link here to vtshome.org. If you want to see more about the background of VTS, you can look it up there. And just to boil down to what is actually VTS. it is a method that's based on the participants, and it builds on the participants' own experiences and observations through a group dynamic process, where the participants, with the help of a VTS facilitator, listen to other participants' point of view and assess whether they see things in the same way as they do. And with VTS, the VTS facilitator creates a safe space for group discussions based on artworks or other images. And the VTS facilitator is central to this whole process, but doesn't act as an authoritarian source of information. Instead, it's the participants themselves who conduct the conversation with the facilitator's help. And in VTS, there are really 3 questions that the VTS facilitator sticks to. That the ones on the screen now. What's going on in this picture? What do you see that makes you say that? And what more can we find? And with the first question, you open up the conversation and invite to collective wonder. And with the second question, what do you see that makes you say that? You allow the participant to both elaborate on their statements, but also to justify an argument. And then with the third question, what more can we find? You open up the conversation again, both for either turning to a new topic or returning to something that has already been touched upon and maybe elaborate on that. And in America, VTS is a regular part of teaching at many schools, and several studies done in the States show that that regular VTS conversations strengthen both class inclusion, but also the students' abilities in developing reflection and critical thinking, active listening, communication, democratic skills. But really, the best way to really get to know VTS is to try it. And that's what we'll have the pleasure of trying now with Liz. So I'll stop sharing this screen here.
Thanks so much, Anna. I'm going to share my screen as well, I hope. And as Anna so well described VTS there just as an introduction, what we're going to do now is a VTS image discussion. And really, I would ask if you can put your cameras on so that as we're having the discussion, we can see each other while we're looking at the image. And also, when I ask the question, what more can we find? I'm just going to ask you to raise your hands if you have a comment in the screen, because we're quite a small group, so I should be able to see you and the image on my screen at the same time. But once I share screen, I might ask Sean also just to keep an eye out on the screens in case I miss anybody with their hands up, if you wouldn't mind being my helper, Sean, just to make sure I don't miss anybody if they have their hands up.
I can also help you with that, Liz.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I have 2 screens.
Whoever wants to help, that would be great. Okay, so I'm just going to try and share this here with you. Now, let me just make it. Can everybody see this image? Thumbs up, maybe? Great. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to invite you to take a quiet moment to look at this picture. Okay, so what is going on in this picture? Satu, I see your hand up there.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. I see some kind of a crossroad, like a pedestrian area, but then when I look closer, then this all looks like it's not real. Looks like a collage, some kind of not kind of a real image. So that makes me puzzle a little. What do I say? Is it reality or not?
Okay, thank you, Satu. So you're saying for you, you're noticing what looks like a road or a crossroad. Is it around here? Where can you see my pointer?
Yeah, I can see that. Yes. Well, I think it's kind of a pedestrian area, but still there are some cars. So there is a road going on, of course, like with cars. Yeah.
Okay, so some kind of crossroad, some kind of road with cars and pedestrians. And also you mentioned the word collage. What can you explain that word and what do you see that makes you say collage?
Yeah, I think that the persons, they look like they would be cut out. Sorry, my English. Like they would not be like a real persons. And actually, the most like a character or a collage is the person on the left corner down. The person with a gun, the guy. So he's like a cartoon person, and also the area of grass, green grass, which is going through the picture, quite in the middle. So that also looks like not like a real thing. So it looks like it would be like made of many images, like photoshopped or whatever.
Okay, thank you so much, Satu. So for you, the idea of a collage is coming through in the image really by looking closely at these people and the sense of maybe their outline, the outline that is there, and also in particular this figure here and how he's placed in the work, and also thinking about this area here, this grassy, you were mentioning it for you, it looks like grass, and that it looks like it's been stuck into the picture in some way, like a collage.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Satu. What more can we find? Anna and then Chris. We'll take Anna first.
I'm reading this whole scene as a kind of crime scene. Something not right is going on. We have all these lots of advertisements for liquor and cigarettes, and there's the man with the gun Satu mentioned, but there's a sense of something rough neighborhood, and maybe something whodunit kind of thing going on.
Okay, thanks a million, Anna. So for you, you're reading it as a crime scene. So there's a scene, there's a narrative or a story for you coming through. And what you're thinking about is both this figure here, and you were saying that you think this could be a gun, and then also some of the signs behind that are maybe referring to alcohol or cigarettes. So you mentioned the theme of whodunit. So this idea of a kind of a, yeah, there's a sense of mystery maybe to the work for you. Okay, what do you see that makes you say crime scene?
I just think that something must have happened or is about to happen, that it's a setup, a stage. I think it's I think it's just the corrupt feeling of something in the piece of work that makes me say that, with the, as I was saying, the not very all the alcohol and the cigarettes and the gun and the maybe as well the man with the glasses he's got his hand inside his coat as if he's about to pull out something. So it's just a lot of dodgy elements.
Okay, thanks so much, Anna. So again, building on what you were saying earlier about it being a scene, now you've used the word stage, and for you, it's like there's different pieces on the stage for you that are leading you to think about that there's a story, there's something either about to happen or there's something that has just happened. And there's some undertone of corruption or something dodgy, like you said, going on in the picture. Okay, thanks, Anna. What more can we find? I think we had Chris next.
Yeah, I see I see a little girl, and I think she might be an artist or an heiress or something, and she's going somewhere, and she is protected by the bodyguard that guy hiding behind that traffic light. So she must be very important. And in a way, she reminds me of Shirley Temple.
Sorry, Chris, I'm interrupting you there. Is it this figure I'm pointing
Yeah,
to?
that figure. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you there. You were saying that she reminds you of Shirley Temple?
Yeah.
Okay, so your eyes drawn very closely looking at this particular figure and a sense that maybe she's being protected. You mentioned the word bodyguards and also referring to people like Shirley Temple. So what do you see that makes you say that she's like she's being protected, she's being looked after in some way?
That there are lots of people around her, and it looks as if she is heading towards some kind of a limousine, and that the guy with that sunglasses might also be some kind of a bodyguard or a chauffeur that opens the door to the car.
Okay, so for you, you're saying that there's a connection potentially between her and the people around her. But
Yes.
there's something that is there's a protective sense around her, and your interpretation is that this person here could be connected to her. That she's about to step into this limousine or this car in the background, and that this person could be her bodyguard.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chris. What more can we find?
Circa.
Well, yes,
Circa.
yeah, I think that this guy with the gun, he has discovered that there is some kind of terrorist attack going on, and he tries to protect those pedestrians in the background. So he's some kind of agent or detective or somebody who has his aim is to protect those pedestrians. And the other pedestrians maybe do not know what's happening, except for the guy with the hat and glasses, because he is looking in this direction as well, because the threat is coming from this direction, I think.
Okay, so Circa, you're speculating that this figure here is facing outwards towards us, and that he's kind of protecting the rest of the people in the scene. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And that he's an important figure because he is really protecting the rest of the scene from the threat maybe that's happening outside. And that also then you were just referring to this figure here looking out also, and that he seems to be the only other figure that is aware of anything else going on outside of the picture.
Yeah. So there's some kind of threat, maybe somebody, a terrorist or something that wants to attack those innocent people there.
Okay, thank you so much. So something to do with a sense of threat, but even more than that, that there's some kind of terrorist, using the word terrorist. So what do you see that makes you say that there could be terrorism or a terrorist?
Well, it says Guinness time there on that watch, on that. Okay. And I'm thinking about Northern Ireland somehow.
Okay, so you're drawing a connection between this sense of atmosphere or this sense of there's some kind of, I suppose, dark terrorist type atmosphere, and then also for you, you're making connection to the location of the work and where it might be set, and for you, this is quite a significant piece of your puzzle in terms of where it could be located, which could be Northern Ireland.
Yeah, could be, but not necessary.
Okay, thank you so much, Circa. What more can we find? Fred.
Yeah, I'm just picking up on that point about the black and white kind of box image in the middle there, and the fact that it is very much like one of the kind of border posts that would have been around in Northern Ireland during the Troubled times, and just the fact that it's black and white and it seems to be not just in the middle, but you have that grass in front of it as well, that seems to separate the people away from all the signage in the background. So to know, is it like a border patrol and stopping them getting to whatever the signs are about, or stopping the signs influencing them in some way? I'm just wondering if the artist is trying to make a statement along those lines.
Okay, so you're drawing, you're kind of linking with what Circa was saying in terms of the location of the work and whether it could be happening in some part of the north of Ireland. And for you, this building here, or this grey building, which is a different colour to the rest of the work. So you're kind of saying it's marked out because it's black and white as opposed to the rest of the picture, which is more made up of other bright colours. And so that it does remind you of those kinds of buildings that would have been present in the north of Ireland, but also it's being pushed out of the picture because of the colouring of it. And then also drawing our attention to this area here, which is this grassy area you describe it as, and how it separates the front part of the picture to the back part of the picture. What do you see that makes you say it's separating what's happening in the front of the picture to what's happening in the back of the picture?
It's mainly just because it's dead center. The grass cuts from left to right all the way across, so it goes from edge to edge. It's obviously black and white, so it's separating the two kind of colored halves of the foreground and the background as well. And it's very incongruous. It just stands out as being very different, so there must be a reason why it has to be different from everything else.
Okay, so thanks, Fred. So kind of, I suppose, helping us in terms of your eye and how it's moving around this particular area here, this grassy area as you describe it, and that it moves from left to right, but then also this sense that it looks out of place, or incongruous was your word, that it doesn't look as, it's not the same type of, I suppose, landscape as the cityscape that is in the background and in the foreground. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. What more can we find? Anna, we'll take one more, I think, and then I've got Anna, yeah?
Yeah, I'm also wondering about the time of the year, or time of year, because the girl that Chris mentioned earlier, she's wearing a skirt, and there's a lady as well with her legs bare, or two women with bare legs, but in the background there's a part of a sign that says something with Santa Claus, I think. So it sounds as if we're at Christmas, in Christmas time. And yeah, it should be colder then. It looks wet and grey, but not very, very cold. So just, yeah, it's a bit of a mix up as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna. So in terms of, say, Circa and Fred, who were thinking about the location and where this work was happening, you're thinking about the time of the year. What's the season? And what are the clues for you in the work that makes you think about, is it winter, is it summer? You're noticing the bare legs of the lady's clothes here and of the little girl. And also at the same time, your eyes drawn into the background and this sign here, which for you, you're reading as Santa Claus. So thinking maybe it's wintertime, maybe it's a winter scene, that it does look quite cold. You're getting a cold feel from it, so that it does look like it could be happening during winter time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. I think I'll finish it there. Thank you so much for your comments. And I will stop my screen share, and Anna, I think, is going to lead you to just a discussion of how that was for you, and just a little bit more unpacking of the VTS method. I'll stop my share, Anna, sorry.
You're absolutely fine. Well, now you've tried VTS. So how did that feel to you? Do you have any comments about what it was like trying VTS? And if you have any comments and you don't have your camera on, you're welcome to write them in the chat as well. Oh, Sean?
Yes, I had some technical issues, so I wasn't able to enjoy Liz's facilitation as much as I would like to have. But I have one question for Liz. What is it like to facilitate on the internet as opposed to in real life, other than the technical problems that can come up? But what is it like for you as an experienced facilitator to do that on the internet rather than in person?
That's a good question. I think it has pros and cons. You know, there's some parts of it that are that work. I think the biggest surprise for us with COVID and moving VTS image discussions online was it does work to a certain degree. Obviously, if you have technical difficulties, that's the big challenge. You know, the big challenge for us starting off was really basic things like, you know, figuring out how to share the screen and preventing, when we were doing it with children, you know, making sure that people weren't scribbling on the screen at the same time, or the chat feature, that there wasn't a whole other set of comments happening in the chat feature. And you know, continuing with your pointing, I think, has been a challenge. Some facilitators like there's a little glow stick, and some like the pointer. So there's been a lot of, we've been quite lucky in that just quite naturally we set up a small group. It just kind of came together that some of our community were interested in trying it. So we used to practice in the early lockdown, the first lockdown. We just would get together and practice together and fail our way through it, really. But in terms of the positives, I think it has been another way of doing VTS with different groups. You know, I would say it's not as easy to do with groups of children in classrooms, but it has been, I've been doing a lot of VTS facilitation with groups of adults who are, you know, basically logging in like you would like a book club, you know, and it's just becoming a routine for adults to get an opportunity to just come together regularly to enjoy looking at a work of art. So it's quite immediate, you know. It means they don't have to travel. It can happen very spontaneously, or you know, within a set time. Everybody's still sitting in their living room, so it can be quite an immediate way of looking at an artwork. Does that answer your question, Sean?
Yes, thank you, Liz. Thank you.
Sirka?
Yes, I was just wondering, how young are the youngest children that you have tried this with over the internet?
Probably, I would say 10, age 10. And I think we've had different degrees of success, and we'll talk a little bit more about our case study later, and Fred will talk to you a bit more. But yeah, I mean, I think they're very technically able, but I think setting it up into a classroom setting has been a new journey that my colleague Claire Halpin has been testing, and she's learning all sorts of things about cameras and double screens and that kind of thing. So
yeah, so maybe it's more difficult for them to stay focused on a screen, really.
I think so. And I think to go back to Sean's point about the challenge of technically doing it, I think if you've more than 15 people, you know, the whole idea is that it's very collaborative and everybody's putting their hands up and contributing their ideas. So if you have more than 15 people online, it can get more and more challenging. So again, Fred will talk to you later, but we did a session on Wednesday night. I think we had 28 teachers, and we split into breakout groups. So we had like 5 or 6 people in each session with that image, and it ended up being quite a good number, because there was quite a lot in that image to go through. So it was a good number. Everybody got a chance to talk. So that's another consideration, is like our class sizes are like 30 students in a class. So that's a big number of students for an online, a successful online session.
Yeah. I think also with the online, we don't have any experience doing it with children in VTS Denmark, but what we've experienced is that if you've tried VTS live before you try it online, it might feel a bit not a complete letdown, but it's you're missing something from the experience you've had before, because doing it live, there's a very it gets very intimate, and you get to know each other more. A feel of a group community developing, which is a bit harder online. But if you try it with groups of people who haven't tried it live before, their feedback is very positive, that it's a fun experience. Yeah.
Satu, you were just saying in the chat there that you've been developing online guided tours. Do you want to say something about that?
Well, yeah, thanks. Yeah, well, just in the beginning of the process, because the COVID, it has done what it has, and of course in art museums, the professional guides, they are alive and in fire when they are with people and in front of the art images. But we've just been starting to also kind of sell as a product, like a online guided tours, and one of them is for the working groups, so for the people who have been sitting all the day like this, like us now. So we're trying to sell kind of like it's in English, like a creative break. So it's something different, and in this there are only a few images, and we encourage our guides to use VTS discussion as a part of this kind of relaxing and something like also quite physical, and this kind of a guided tour. And VTS, it seems to work in this occasion as well, but also with children. We've been testing and piloting piloting some workshops with kids, also with schools. And VTS works when the technique is working, then it's working also. But of course, as you said, Anna, it has its limits. People who don't know beforehand about VTS, then I think it works best. But what we are in the beginning, I can tell you more later. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a new world, isn't it? It's a new of teaching in general, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a good question in the chat about, I would like to know how to deal with unfinished or confused effect of VTS to students, since there's no right or wrong answer and people interpret symbols as well as pictures differently. How to deal with bias attention and left confused in the end of the meeting. So Anna, do you want to take that, or will I start and you take over? Or
I can try to start if you like.
Okay, perfect.
Well, that's in VTS. It's true what you write. There are no right or wrong answers, and that's it can be a bit confusing for especially for older students who they've been schooled into thinking about what is the right answer we're looking for. What is it my teacher wants to hear? And actually, that's part of what is so great about VTS. We find that it teaches you to think for yourself, to be more critical, and to not also to be confident enough in knowing that what you say has value as well. And the beautiful thing about VTS is the reason you can say nothing wrong is that everything you say is based on something you see, and you can't see anything wrong. You always get asked, what is it you see that makes you say something? And then you get the opportunity to argue for what you see. And then at the end, if you have students who are very frustrated about not knowing what the right answer is, you can, of course, have this discussion with them and talk to them about critical thinking and how everything they know, everything they've been taught is something others have told them. And to be critical, to always cross-reference, and also give them maybe information where they can look up more information about what it is they've been looking at if they want to know more. Liz, if you want to, sorry.
No, that's brilliant. That's perfect.
Okay.
There's another question for you, Anna.
Yeah.
I'm just reading the chat. Hello, Anna. I am Swanti from Indonesia. I'm going to start a new unit of inquiry. Imagination is a powerful tool for extending our ability to think, create, and express ourselves. Next month, is there any idea or insight for the VTS teaching to my grade 3 and 4?
It sounds very, very interesting. Your new project, new unit of inquiry. What ages are the three, grade 3 and 4? Here in Denmark, grade 3 and 4 might be 9 or 10-year-olds. Is that the same in Indonesia?
Hello, yes, it is.
Hello, it is.
Yeah.
How brilliant. Hello, Swanti. Am I saying your name right?
Yes.
But I think just doing VTS, picking images that you think are appropriate for your age group. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. And what we've experienced is that when children see something they can relate to, other children in images, or play situations, or situations with adults and children together, something where they can recognize something from their own daily lives. It's an easy way to start doing VTS with them. And then you can, after you've done more VTS sessions with them, you can do it with any kind of image you think is appropriate for this, and what it is you want to do with your unit. But I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. Please let me know if there's anything else you wish to know.
Thank you so much. So actually, I can provide an image that is related to my unit, and then let the students share their opinion and thoughts, something like that.
Yes, definitely. There are a lot of, if it's the first time you're doing VTS with your third and fourth graders, there are some videos online as well on YouTube where you can see live sessions of how they use VTS, and it might be helpful just to get to know VTS a bit more, before you try it out. But I think it sounds brilliant.
I'm going to put the USA website in the chat so people have that for images.
It's a good idea. Thank you, Liz. And hello, Daniel. You're welcome, Swanti. And are there any more questions? Then please let us know.
Hello, good evening from Indonesia.
Hello.
Hello.
Allow me to turn on my webcam. Sorry. This is new for me, VTS. I'm Daniel, by the way, from Indonesia. I'm Chris' classmate. No, I'm simply his junior at that time when we were in bachelor degree. So I'm so interested with VTS, and I bumped this with this concept just now, and I did some search on what VTS is, and I happen to find it really related with what I'm doing right now as a teacher. Well, actually, I'm teaching English in for university students. I found it really will be really helpful when it is applied in critical listening and critical speaking class. and also in basic speaking class, because as Miss Anna Zieler mentioned before, that VTS is not about being right or wrong. Am I right? So I do agree with you when maybe, I don't know, like teachers are supposed to say yes or no to something, like they judge easily the student's answer, and it makes student feel like inferior with their answer, and suddenly they were demotivated to state their opinion. So I think this is a new method in language learning as well. So I don't know if this is only for young learners or stuff like that, but I find it really resonate with what I'm doing so far, and I will definitely try this in my class because I'm so into uh, teachers' professional development and also on critical thinking assessment. So I wish to hear more from you from this discussion, if to know what you think about this idea in embedding this into a language class. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. I think maybe Sean, would you like to comment on that?
Well, okay, these technical issues aren't causing any more problems for me, but I'm sure you, Anna, and Liz, you could also chime in. But I'll just very method in a language class. And indeed, you can use it with any age group. It's not a method that is uniquely used with children. In fact, I do believe when it was first devised by Philip Yenawine and Abigail Housen, that it was with adults in their art courses, in the MoMA art courses, that's Museum of Modern Art in New York. And it was then used in schools with children, and application became, and of course, main areas was language class, but it can absolutely be used with and adult learners of language, no question. Do you want to add to that, Anna and Liz?
Yes, you're also saying something very interesting about the teacher development you mentioned, and there is something there as well. When you do VTS, you become very much aware of your own teaching methodology and the what it is you actually normally expect in a teaching situation, how you do things normally, and how you might wish to do them differently as well. So it's a self-reflexive reflective process doing VTS as a teacher as well. And then one thing I didn't mention in the introduction, I just mentioned the 3 VTS questions, but of course in between the questions, which you probably heard as well Liz doing when she was doing her VTS discussion, when she facilitated it, is that when someone tells you something, you as a teacher, you do a paraphrase, you repeat what the person has said, and you might use other words in your repetition of what has been said. And that, of course, is brilliant for language teaching and language stimulation. So it is, we found, we will talk a bit more about that as well when we share experiences, that it's a very good tool for language development. And in our case, we've tried it with younger children, but it is also very good with both older children and adults. And Liz, I don't know if you have anything more to add.
No, I suppose really it is actually more of a language methodology than a visual. I mean, you need your visual skills, but it's more about finding the words to, whether you're an English speaker or whether in our session there was multiple languages in our session. So a lot of that is your brain trying to figure out what the words were for what, and like when you're doing that across languages, it really is firing up all of the neurons in your brain to do that. So yeah, it's very much a language based methodology.
Is that okay, Daniel?
That was really answering my question, and I remembered actually. Is that okay if I share some experiences here? So
Go ahead.
a few months ago, I met two of my best friends. So she is actually working in a non-profit community, and she gave me two questions about one picture. The first one is, how do you relate your goal with this picture, a particular picture? Let's say I have picture here, something like this. Okay, how do you relate this to your goal, and how do you relate this to your past that form you are right now, that shape you are right now? So and I didn't realize if that method actually use VTS. So I just knew it this time, and she didn't even mention what strategy is she using. But at the time, we were just she was just mentioning that she is now working in a, as I said before, and she is helping people with the way to reach to be better in business and something like that, in career. And yeah, so the strategy is similarly to this one. And without realizing that we had an hour discussion with only two pictures, and I talked that much in that two pictures. And at the end, she gave me like a conclusion of what I'm supposed to be doing in my life with my answers in relation with that picture. So this suddenly reminds me of another connection to psychological thing instead of language. So yeah, I guess I should agree with the principles that you just mentioned, Miss Anna, that there are maybe some framework that we have to use, that we cannot forget in doing this, to appreciate other answers with the questions and so on. So, and yeah, this is more into methodological, I guess. So, well, yeah, thank you very much for this brief knowledge, but sorry, brief introduction of VTS, because I missed the very first part of the discussion. But yeah, well.
Thank you, Danielle. I think I will, if it's okay with you, Anna and Liz, and everybody else, I think I will now declare the break as open. Okay, so